folks, Jonathan here. Alright, headed back toward the, I guess it would be the northeastern part of North Carolina. You can see where we're at there. But anyway, we got a ways to go. But going back up to the Sawmill where the Bates coreless steam engine was, the last one we got. So the plan today is to get the other engine, which is a Houston Stanwood & Gamble. I don't know for sure the size of it. I was guessing at it, but I think it's about the biggest one they made. So I think it's about 14,000 pounds. I found a weight, and depends on flywheel size and width and all that, but we'll figure out exactly which engine it is and the weight. I think the next one down from that's 11,200 pounds. So we're going to see, but we're also getting the two generators. So we're on our way. I've got Delray JYD behind me and his Kenworth with my lowboy, my 1952 Rogers, and my Caterpillar off-road forklift, and one of the ones we put an engine in. And the forklift up here at the Sawmill is strictly concrete. There's two of them there. One of them could hit the dirt, but I mean, it's not going to be good and not going to be big enough for what we're doing. So we brought our own forklift. It's on the trailer, and so hopefully it will ride okay and everything will be okay. And then I've got the gooseneck behind me on this truck. I'm probably going to haul the two generators and then as much other stuff as I can, and then Scott will be hauling the forklift back along with the bigger steam engine parts laying in front of it. So the trailer is either a 20 or 25 ton. I think it's a 20 ton, which would be 40,000 pounds. And I figured the forklift somewhere around 15,500. So that leaves us plenty of wiggle room for engine and all. So even if the engine's 14, looking at 30,000, which is still, no matter what, at least 10,000 pounds under what the capacity of the trailer is. So I think it'll be just fine. And as long as our tires hold up. Kind of a cool day. It's 63 degrees and it's raining and a little wet, so kind of gonna make our trailer tires do a little better, I think, than what it would if it was nice and hot and sticky out. But anyway, I'll show you more when we get there. We're going to try to do some video on getting everything out. Pretty rough, it's going to be a lot of work. Got to tear the engine down to be able to get it off the foundation because it's still belted up. So, and I'll show everybody when we get there. Maybe we can get the forklift, get some stuff cleared out where you can see it a little better. So, all right, show you more. All right, folks, we're here. Had to ignore the peanut dryers over there. They dry the peanuts right in the trucks, in the trailers. Looking up the natural gas. So here we go. We're going to get in here and get started. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be, because if this is 21 inches wide, this flywheel, this is going to be the big one, and I'm sure it is. So we got to get the belt off yet and get in here to it. That's oiler. Hopefully we can get close enough. Got to get in here close enough to get this flywheel off here. So. All right, we're going to see what happens. All right, folks, we're moving along. Again, it's right by the north. All right, so we got Scott pulling bolts. We're about ready to get up to this flywheel. We're going to have to get that belt off. And then, don't fall again, rip my pants. We got a square nut, that ain't good. Let me get this cap off. We got that cap off. Bearing looks terrible, but that's okay. And we got to take off the eccentric strap. Like I said, the rod. We'll have it here a little bit. We'll at least get this crank out. He's working on the base bolts too. There we go. And that thing's probably mortared around it. It might be fun to pick up, but we'll get it off.
Alright folks, we're having issues with the crank because I can't get in close enough to pick straight up on it to get it out of that bearing, because it's sort of like your thrust bearing. So it's got to come up out straight. If we can get that out, then we can block it. We should be able to get it all out. I've got the other side up a little bit. We're going to try it. Alright folks, we've run into a pretty major issue and we've had trouble trying to pick this flywheel and crank. And I was beginning to think it was too heavy, but I don't think that's the case. So this has got a bearing in it that comes part of the way around the journal, and it should roll out. So that's the problem. It will not come out because I think somebody's babbited with it in there. And we can get it to move up a little bit, but it's not going to come all the way around. So when you go to pick up on the crankshaft, this forces it back, and then it forces the end of that, and it won't come up. So it's just wedging in there. We're going to try to move the eccentric. Somebody's already beat on it at one time, but we're going to try to move this eccentric in. We're going to clean this up, and if we can get it in, we should be able to slide this out enough maybe to go ahead and get it out of there. And so we're having a royal pain in the butt time right now. And we're losing light, we're going to lose time. We're all right on the sun, but it's going to get late quick. All right. About the sun. 20 pounds. Alright folks, I am wore out and it's about dark, but the engine is now off its foundation and loaded on the truck, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was a job, and the engine was pretty rough bearing wise and stuff, so it's going to need some work, but it's well worth getting and maybe doing something with one day in the future. But I've had it. It's this thing has really kicked my butt and kicked Scott's butt. We're getting everything chained up, strapped down, getting ready to chain all this and strap it down, and we're gonna skedaddle, get out of here really soon. All right, okay folks, we've made it back, and heck of a load. We majorly underestimated the weight of this thing. This is all slate on the front of this, at least 1.5 inches thick, but you know, it wasn't a big deal for the forklift, but it was a big deal for us to get it out to the forklift in that building and get it loaded up. So we finally got it. Got a lot of parts tossed in the back of the truck here, and bolts, our eccentric, valve rod, parts of the governor that of course wasn't any good, the bearing cap for the outboard bearing, very heavy,
The main bearing over there, we got the rod there. The mechanical lubricator hooked to an electric motor with a gearbox. It's pretty neat. So generators. Okay, both these generators have DC exciters made on them or mounted to them, which is kind of odd. So I like it. Makes it a lot easier. You don't have to have a separate belted one. So the big one is 125 kW, which is much larger than I thought it was. So that big Harrisburg engine I've got is 250 kW, so that's half the size. And really nice big unit. I think it's going to be fine. We're going to get it off the trailer today and get it under the shelter. We've got a, this one's either 60 or 75 kW. I think it might be 60. But anyway, about half the size of that one there. And belt driven, of course, flat belt. Not sure how many RPM or horsepower. I have to look again. I can't remember. One of them was 720, I know. But anyway, that's my load on my trailer. And of course, you got the engine on the other trailer. All right, so this thing is a monster. Big, heavy. About all that forklift wanted. This engine's total weight is 14,000. So, them are some heavy pieces. And it's up there. I mean, it's 8-foot flywheel. Nothing light about any of this. And let me see. We had a blowout. We had 2 blowouts. I'll show you that in a minute. What was holding our crank in? Why we had so much trouble? When this bearing was poured, it was over poured above the crank. So it was going over halfway. You can see how it starts curving in. So I had chiseled some of this out, and then I picked up really hard on it until we forced it up out of there. So you know, the Babbitt's pretty rough in there, but I mean it could easily be redone or probably straightened out. Not a problem, because you know, Babbitt don't always look the best, and even though it still works. So anyway, engine would need to be torn down. Probably going to need a rod. Looks like another about 2.5-inch rod. Huge engine, 18-inch bore, 20-inch stroke. I thought it was smaller than that before, but the specs on it come up to the biggest Houston Stanwood and Gamble engine that they built, and it's pretty massive. And like I said, everything about this thing is just nothing but heavy. So anyway, trailer. I put these military tires and wheels on the back, all 4, and then I took the 4 that was on there and I saved 2 out back and I put the other 2 in for spares. And unfortunately, Scott was behind me. We was coming back. This side tire, both of them blew out. And I'll show you them to you in a minute. They're up on top, but there's pieces of it. So yeah, they completely blew out. We went flat, and then luckily I had, of course, a 50-ton jack and 2 spares. And I know most people don't carry 2 spares, but you know, it's smart to carry 2 if you got room to carry them, and if you got them, so you might as well have them on here instead of at home. So the bad part was this forklift was sitting right here and forward, and the tires was here, so we couldn't drive over top to unload the forklift. So we didn't have a choice about jacking it up, but it wasn't a bad issue. I mean, it actually went really well, and you can see the big 50-ton jack, and you can see the flat tires. So don't know what happened. Don't know if something, you know, one of them went and it just popped the other one, or what the deal was, because there wasn't nearly as old or as bad as these other tires, you know, when it comes to age-wise. And but that's okay. We can, you know, I've got 2 more tires out back, and we can go for spares or whatever we need to do. It's not a big issue. So if that's all that happened, that was fine. The only bad part, we had worked all day long, and both of us, and tired, wore out. We didn't even take breaks. I don't think we stopped to take a break. We just worked completely all day from the time we got there until the time we left. So and it was dark by the time we got out of there. But anyway, we got the engine, we saved it. It's not going to the scrapyard. I'm not necessarily in any rush to do anything with it. I was in a rush to save it, and we've got the generators. I think the big generator I want to belt up to one of the bigger steam engines later, but for now, like I said, they're pickled. They're not anywhere where they're unsafe. they were unsafe where they were. Thankfully, the guy that I bought them from, the guy that owns that place, is a good guy. He would now I paid up for them, don't get me wrong, but he would rather have sold them for less than scrap to keep them from getting scrapped. And that's, you know, hard to find people like that anymore. Good guy. So anyway, we got them, and we'll show you more later on. All right, appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.